Hello. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a blueprint background template for your projects, for your concept design. And in the meantime, I'm going to also provide the files. So if you are in a crunch time, you're welcome to use my files, and hopefully that helps you on your projects. The first thing you need to do is to take a look at the Photoshop interface and go to the upper right side here. By default, we have patterns, and if you don't see the patterns, you can always go to Window and then make sure it's checked. By default, we get, just like the brushes in Photoshop, a very small variety that makes us feel completely discouraged from using the patterns and as if it's a free software. That is to say, it sucks. What I want to do is to create my own pattern to go in here, to work for me for the creation of my blueprint. How do I do that? I'm gonna start by creating a new composition or a new file, and I'm gonna make it square proportion. Could be 400, 500, 1000 if you want. You only need to go higher if you really want to, and then create. Next, what I want to do is to unlock that layer, and then Control R to make sure my ruler is activated. Right mouse button, make sure it's on the %. And since I have a round number, which is 1000 pixels, you can even go to the pixels if that helps you. So you can go to the 500, either way, whatever works for you. My goal is to hit the 50% number here. And you can see as you're moving the mouse, it kind of locks to the 50%. Okay, here, same as well. Here's my 50. Notice how I move my mouse to the left side, so the reading is more readable. Okay, now I'm gonna go into the marquee tool and I'm gonna pick the horizontal. With the horizontal or the vertical, you just need to click and hold on the left mouse button, and then it will give you that thick selection. Cool. On top of that, I'm gonna go into the vertical one, hold down Shift, and then it's snapping to the guide that I created. So this is what I have right now. For this, I'm going to create a new layer, and now I'm going to hold Control Backspace. Hold down Control and then Backspace, and that's going to fill the selection with the background color, as you can see here. Now, I'm going to hop into the color area and pick a color that would be ideal for the blueprint. Now I'm going to deselect, Control D, go to the background color, and then Alt and Backspace. Now, as far as picking the color that is good for the blueprint, don't stress about choosing the right color, because we can always go Control U or Image Adjustment and then Hue and Saturation. Shortcut is Control U, and you can always change the color easily. So this is more like. So now I'm going to hit Control and semicolon to remove those guides visibility, so I can really take a look at what I have here. The higher the resolution, the more refined that line is going to be. So if you have a lower resolution, the line would be thicker. Just consider that in the creation of your pattern. If you want something to be less refined, then you might want to go with lower resolution for this, specifically for this square setup here. Okay. Now, what I want to do is to define this image as my pattern. And to do that, I need to go into the Edit, then Define Pattern. Blueprint, High-Res. And now when I go to the patterns, I find this. Now, so I already have it, and it should work just fine. Now, how do I apply it, and how do I get different versions of it? So I go back into creating a new document, And this time, instead of 1000, I'm gonna go into something as low as 500 or even actually lower. Okay, so I'm going to go to the colors and B and then Alt backspace. I can modify the color however I want. This is a better color for Blueprint. And gonna create a, well, there's no need for a new layer. Control R for the rulers, and then here is 50%. Go to the M for marquee. If I hold down shift, it's going to toggle between those modes, though unfortunately it doesn't toggle to those ones for some reason. Anyway, so here is the horizontal one, and here is the vertical with shift. I want to make sure the shift is on so they get combined. Next, I'm going to create a new layer just so I can have more control over what I add into a new layer instead of the main image. So now when I turn this into a pattern, go here into edit, and then let me just open the pattern first. Edit and then define pattern. Blueprint lower res. Notice how it's more noticeable, right? So what I want to do now is to show you these two different varieties in action. But before that, let me also this time turn this resolution into a lower resolution. By saying turn, I mean I'm not going to create from scratch a new version. Instead, I will actually go Control Alt I. That's going to give me the image size. So now it's more convenient for me to just simply go 100, change it from 200 to 100, so down the resolution. In fact, I may even go 50. If you thought it looks bad, this is even better actually. So here's a lower resolution. Go to edit and then define pattern and then BP and then lowest. So here's a new document that has full HD 300 resolution. So with a new layer created, I would go into the fill adjustment layer here, then click on pattern. That's exactly what we want, those leaves. If you select the pattern that you want, as you can see, it doesn't give you great results. That's why you get to pick from other options or colors too. Now it's worth mentioning that you can change the scale from here. It's just that it's a little too much fiddling to work with, and notice how the high resolution pixels, they're hard to see. So interestingly, working with a lower resolution, and I'll put this to 100%. Working with lower resolution sometimes would give you a more appealing outcome like this. Of course, you can change the angle, but we don't want to do that. So, in my case, I feel that having a variety of resolutions gives me more convenience, and that's very important. So hit OK, and there you go. Now the final outcome is something like this. What do I need to do to move closer to that target? If you feel that you need to, you might want to start by cropping your blueprint composition. And now it's done. Hit enter, Control 0. That's good. So I showed you how cropping it could be a good solution. And this is a perfect solution if you're actually using an existing image that you just want to modify. So the cropping, the precision of the cropping would be very beneficial in that case. But if you have created the template using the method that I just demonstrated with the pattern, you need to know that you can click at any time on the layer of that pattern and you can actually move it around. It's like a procedural mathematical pattern. You can repeat it infinitely, technically. So what you can do is pretty much align it. So if you need to be very specific with the aspect ratio, and you want to keep it without doing any cropping or anything, it should be pretty accurate for you to just move the pattern around. Just something to consider. If you really have to stick to a specific resolution, you can flatten and rescale. It should be all good. What I need to do next is to go M for marquee, shift, hold down shift, and then toggle to the rectangular marquee. And if you want it to be really precise, you can change it. Zoom in and start this way. Control 0 to reframe. Here's a new layer. Right mouse button, stroke. Make sure you have white color, or maybe slightly off-white. You can either put it to the inside or center, which would be an ideal case, and maybe 5 pixels would be good. The other thing is you can change the opacity to say 55. Now here's a pro tip for you. If you click V on the keyboard to get the move tool, then you can click 1 on the keyboard to get 10% opacity. 2 would give you 20, 3 would give you 30, so 6. So the reason why I highly recommend learning this method is because it's really convenient. Instead of going here and tediously just try to fiddle with the numbers, it's just really annoying. So that's what I have right now. So the difficult part is done. This is the final outcome, so it's just a matter of adding the scale numbers or measurement and adding a sense of scale or registration or legend, whatever the term that you want to use. And typically it's a human body. A few things you want to keep in mind when they refer to the human body as a measurement of scale. They typically assume it is 175 centimeters. I think that would be 5 feet 9 inch, 5'9". I could be wrong, but something to keep in mind so you would be consistent with the measurement that you have in your document. Lastly, here is a pro tip for you. One thing you can do is you can multiply that human scale, and this way your clarification of scale becomes easier to understand or read. The example that I normally give is the difference between looking at the sugar content in your Coke in grams, which doesn't mean anything to most people, versus this Coke contains this amount of spoonful of sugar, and people would freak out because only then would they realize that it has an insane amount of sugar, right? So if you really want clarity and transparency for your audience to know exactly the scale of your asset, you can give them something like that for as high as you want. Just a pro tip. That said, what I'm going to do is provide this in a document, as a PSD document and JPEG document. This way you would only need to watch this video if you really want to learn how to do this process on your own. So you would have more skills in using Photoshop, and also you will be able to have the flexibility to create this document with full control. But if you're in a rush and you don't want to learn the process, if you don't have the software whatsoever, providing those documents for you hopefully would help you on dodging these bullets, especially if you're in a time crunch. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.